tiny species in a massive ecosystem called Earth. There's this very special place in Costa Rica with these beautiful, mysterious coral. But with the years of development, environmental degradation arrived, and I watched the reef die. How do you not want to take action when you see that?
We're changing history. Our focus cannot be beat. From the sea to the sky, we can make.
Nesta fase que estamos de desenvolvimento, devemos gerir melhor nossos recursos.
우리의 미래 목표는 보다 효율적이고 지속 가능한 전기차 기술을 개발하는 것입니다.
Ich hatte diese Idee für ein neuartiges Energieunternehmen.
我现在和很多有创新并且关注可持续的年轻设计师一起合作。
Nosso trabalho é justamente de harmonizar essa relação entre os seres humanos e a natureza.
When you have the knowledge, you have the responsibility to share that knowledge.
其实这些年轻的设计师都有非常多的想法，非常多的创意。
그린잡은 여러분 주위에서 쉽게 찾을 수가 있습니다.
Now is the time for all of us to tell the youth that they can.
Working day after day in this beautiful place. It's up to us. It's up to us.
Junte-se a essa oportunidade, junte-se com coragem e muito amor.
It's up to us. It's up to us.
Please welcome to the stage Senior Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer, 3M, Dr. Gayle Schueller.
Imagine a world that's resilient and lush, where nature is strong and people can work on the things that inspire them and give them purpose in their lives. Where the air is clean, where the water runs freely, and everyone has the opportunity to live the lives they want. I'm ready to sign up for that future, and I hope you are as well. Welcome. It's great to have you here as the audience at the Nest campus. My name is Gayle Schueller. I serve as 3M's Senior Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer. You may know of 3M. We are a 100-plus-year-old company, strong history, and you may think of names like Post-it notes or Scotch tape, Filtrete filters, perhaps. We have a broad range of product lines that all are based on 49 technology platforms put together in different ways to do new things. Those products I shared with you, our original product line, which was sandpaper, and now it's about climate tech. There's more and more that we can do, and what that means is we're helping to change lives, whether they're at homes, vehicles, infrastructure, 55,000 products strong with over 133,000 patents. It's quite an entity. We're very focused on science and technology, innovation. On a personal note, I have an undergraduate degree in physics, partly because my dad wanted me to be a chemist and I was a little rebellious. And I have a PhD in material science. I'm one of thousands of material scientists at 3M. And there are so many of us who are focused on a commitment to science and innovation and climate action. So when you think about green jobs, these are things with the trailer. I love the trailer for GreenWorks. It's all about working with urgency on innovation and really helping address these climate challenges and water challenges and other environments. But science and technology are at the core. It's about science. It's about bringing together people of all different perspectives for collaboration, and it's about acting with urgency. So the fact is, we know that we need more people in the green job space. And I personally believe that your job, maybe it already is pretty green because you're at this place, but more and more that anyone can make their job more of a green job. It can be experienced professionals, whether they have degrees in environmental science or something completely different, or it can be new workforce entrants who are just learning how to apply artificial intelligence in new ways. I've been hearing so many fantastic things about what we can do with AI. So in my example, as a chief sustainability officer, that job didn't exist when I graduated from college. It's all about reinventing yourself, knowing what your purpose is and how you can apply it in new ways that feel impactful for you and that give you purpose in the world and allow you to make a difference for those who follow you. In 10 years, I guarantee you that there will be many, many, many new green jobs and professions that don't exist today, new career paths, and you could be a part of that. So weave your own future, imagine what you have in mind for how you would like to see the world, and help make that happen. So you saw the trailer. It's about the personal journey of 5 individuals that work with sustainability in mind, that have made this a key purpose in their lives. And they recognize that green jobs need more talent. These are just some examples to inspire you. I hope you take the time to see the whole GreenWorks piece. The key message, though, is that anyone can make a difference in the sustainability space. You can start small, you can start at home, or you can start with your own work. There's no need for a formal education in the space. In fact, it wasn't until relatively recently that there were degrees in sustainability. It's really largely about a mindset that anyone can bring forward. At 3M, we have an opportunity. I love that we have an opportunity to spend up to 15% of our time working on something that's totally creative and different. And during that, we had some scientists, some sustainability professionals, and some folks from our human resources department get together and develop job function action guides for sustainability. So 63,000 employees around more than 57 countries around the world now have job guides that can help make their jobs more sustainable. Any company can do this. It's really an opportunity for creativity and advancing in your job and your career and advancing climate goals. I personally believe that this is a tremendous growth opportunity for the future of industry, and moving in this space is a great thing for, yes, our company, but all others as well. And it's a great thing for humans and the planet going forward. So we've been doing a State of Science Index. I don't know if you're familiar with this. We go all around the world, many different countries, and we ask them questions about what is important about science and what are the key focus areas. There's a lot of interest in these green jobs. In fact, 75% of the respondents say that they expect to see growth in the green job market over the next 5 years, and nearly half of them believe that the world needs more green workers. So would love to have you be part of that, both doing it yourself and bringing others along. We need to equip employers and job seekers with green skills and we need to work across all key sectors to make that happen. So I would invite you for this next panel is going to be a wonderful group of leaders who are advancing their own careers and inspiring others in the green economy. To get this started, I would like to introduce Taj Eldridge. He is the Managing Director of Climate Innovation. What a great job. Managing Director of Climate Innovation at Jobs for the Future. So welcome, Taj. It's a pleasure to have you, and enjoy the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. As noted, I'm Taj Eldridge. I'm the Managing Director for Climate Innovation at Jobs for the Future, and welcome to Growing Green. I brought a few friends along to talk about some things in this space. I'm going to sit to introduce them, so let's have fun. First, let me introduce Estefanía Pihen González. Estefanía is the Chief of Education and Learning at the California Academy of Sciences, a research institute and natural history museum in San Francisco, and a cast member for the documentary you just saw, GreenWorks. Let's give it up for Estefanía. Next, we have Ben Hosemer, the Head of Human Capital Management for TPG Rise, a dedicated climate investment strategy of TPG's $19 billion global impact investing platform, TPG Rise. Thanks, Ben. Next, we have Bill Weber, the Business Building Director of 3M Ventures, 3M's corporate venturing team dedicated to innovation and business building capabilities, who helps the companies of tomorrow scale faster, stronger, and more efficiently. Last but not least, Eugene Kirpichov, co-founder and executive director of Work on Climate, a nonprofit with a mission to build the workforce needed to solve the problems of tomorrow equitably and justly. So thank you, panelists. Thank you, everyone. let's have a great conversation. We'll be talking about some really great things. So firstly, I want to ask each of you, from a definition standpoint, let's ground ourselves in green jobs. When most people hear the word green jobs, they think about solar installers and climate scientists. Is that accurate? What is exactly a green job? Estefanía, let's start with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for coming. I'm not a fan of definitions. So I will say that first, any job can be green, but definitely I think that we need to start looking at the green economy and green jobs beyond the technical pieces. So we need the architects, yes. We need the engineers, yes. But we need the musicians, we need the activists, we need the writers, we need the artists, we need everyone that somehow can be part of this movement to educate, inspire, and mobilize people. So I think that a green job is any job that helps to educate, inspire, and position people in opportunities to either take action or learn about what's being done.
I love it. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I'd encourage us to take an expansive view of green jobs. I think at the end of the day, a green job is any job in support of the green economy, climate tech, renewables, broadly defined, in the infrastructure that support those. And while the technical and domain experts are critical, particularly in this phase of developing the industry, and you'll hear me come back to this, I think, in comments later in our discussion, it's going to take people of a lot of different backgrounds and professionals of a lot of different backgrounds to scale these businesses. So while we tend to think of the technical and domain experts, you're going to need board members that focus on this. You're going to need C-suite leaders that are passionate and knowledgeable and come from the different industries that compose the green economy. And you're going to need all of the functional leaders to build these businesses, from marketing to finance to HR to IT and so on and so forth. So I think it's a broad definition of anyone supporting the development of the green economy.
Absolutely. Bill?
Yeah, thanks. I'm just going to build a little bit on what they've said. You know, when we hear about climate tech, when we hear about sustainability, it sounds really sciencey. And sure, there is serious technology at the heart of a lot of the solutions. But to bring that technology to life, to bring that technology into the world, as you all have said, we need a vast array of people, from traditional industries. Think about people who are installing heat pumps, people who are replacing windows with more energy efficient windows, installing housing insulation, to people who are just out of high school learning a skilled trade, to people who are heading to college and thinking about what they're going to study, to people figuring out what they want to get a PhD in. We need the whole range of human endeavors turned toward this. And if you're interested in a green job, there's absolutely a place for you.
Eugene?
Yeah, thank you. This is one of my favorite questions. So I think before answering this, we should backtrack and ask ourselves what it means to solve climate change. And really that means building a new economy that is compatible with a planet that's livable for humans. And that's a very different economy than what we have today. I think the difference from here to there can be compared to, for example, what happened to the economy when electricity was introduced, right? The impact of that on the economy as well as on the workforce was massive, sweeping, and almost unfathomably large. And there wasn't such a thing as electricity jobs. Like maybe for a little bit there was, but now when someone says, I want an electricity job, we're like, what do you mean? Every job has something to do with electricity. So eventually, I think the conversation about green jobs is really just a conversation about the difference between what the workforce looks like today versus what the workforce of that economy looks like. And that economy has different business models. It has different roles. It has existing roles with new skills. It has existing roles with existing skills being used for different purposes. It has different ways of people to collaborate and work together. Perhaps it even has a different meaning of what it means to work. So I like taking this very expansive view of what that really means. Though for people who want a green job today, that's probably just like people before me said, it's any job that drives the transition from here to there, which is still a very wide spectrum of roles.
Awesome. So as you heard, we talked about this idea of workforce from the executive level to where any job could be a green job, from the musicians and everything else. Here's another question, though, because we're talking about workforce, but Climate Week is more than that. So panelists, each of you, if you can just answer this question, what roles do green jobs play in the overall climate music? And anyone can answer this question. What role does green jobs play in the overall climate movement? So anyone?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting because, and I'll be really short on this one, these jobs bring the movement into action.
Yeah, I want to add to that. So I think they play a vastly undervalued role in the climate movement today. Our research at Work on Climate, we polled essentially climate-concerned Americans and asked them which of these things, if more Americans did this, would do more to create climate progress. And the options are political engagement, engagement in your individual choice as a consumer, and engagement through work. And engagement through work, people prioritize it dead last. Like 12% of people prioritize it, even though this is completely absurd. It makes no sense, right? Like you can put $10,000 of economic value into the climate economy through your individual choices, or you can put $200,000 or however much of economic value through your entire talent that you've spent your whole career learning how to do this really well. And I think we need to direct the attention of the climate movement to getting people to build the new economy rather than just getting them to advocate for it, which is still largely what is happening today.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, I would add that the climate movement must put at its center social and environmental justice. So green jobs play a critical role in making sure that that lens is happening, that we are including people from different backgrounds, that we are including people that have different lived experiences. I think about many of the students that I have worked with in the past that are climate migrants, and their realities and the lens that they're going to bring if they're part of the green economy is very different to someone that hasn't experienced those kind of challenges, right? So I would hope that green jobs also help the climate movement stay anchored in that social and environmental justice lens, that it's the only way that we can really create equitable and inclusive solutions.
Yeah, I would just add, I guess maybe from a human perspective, if you think about the sheer amount of time all of us put into our jobs, into our professional endeavors, out of your days, hours, weeks, and a lifetime, and if you can channel all of the incredible human talent and passion for making a difference and change in climate through that number of hours and days and weeks that we all put into our jobs, imagine the step change that that'll drive over time.
Absolutely. On this stage, we have people in education, people in human capital, people on the nonprofit side, and investors. I often say I wear many hats, both literally and figuratively, as an investor, but also somebody who looks at the opportunity around workforce. So Bill, as an investor, one thing I'm really interested in is, what do you think is the most exciting innovation that's happening currently, number one? And number two, looking at the next few years, what innovation shift must we have to drive as much impact as possible?
Well, the audience may be shocked by this, but we did get the questions in advance. And so I spent some time thinking about this, and it was a really broad question. And in just the last 2 weeks, I've spent time with companies that are trying to make electrolyzer stacks roll to roll. It's a really hard challenge. I've met companies that are revolutionizing the way we provide industrial heat. Just 2 examples. 3M itself is working on sorbents, structured sorbents, to capture carbon directly out of the air. We're working on electrolyzer catalysts. All these things are exciting. But I'm going to talk about something we're not working on, which is cracking the CO2 molecule. This is the challenge that I am most interested in. I read about it all the time. CO2 loves to stay CO2. It's a really, really hard to crack molecule. Someone who can figure out a step change in the energy that it takes to break CO2 up, it is going to be one of the most important inventions that we've ever had. Because if we can take that apart in an energy efficient way, we can use it for all kinds of other things. So how many people flew to get here, to get to Climate Week? All of us. So that was about 250 kilograms, a quarter ton of hydrogen for every hour that it took you to get here. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, it's a lot. But if we want to make the aviation industry circular, we need to crack CO2. So I'm waiting for that.
I love it. I love it. One thing we often say is that creativity begins with innovation, and innovation begins with creativity. That creativity actually comes from education as well. There's a port to that. So Estefanía, one of the things we like to know is that climate innovation plays a huge role in advancing the green economy, right? So what are some of the ways you're seeing climate education come to the forefront among key stakeholders?
Absolutely. We need to do a lot of work still. I want to emphasize that. But the fact that you're saying this, the importance of education and innovation and creativity as that key ingredient, it's a good step in the right direction. Some exciting things that are happening, I would say in California and here in New York as well, and internationally in countries like New Zealand, England, it's the integration of curricular content that's not just about the causes and the consequences of climate change, but solutionary content. So making the space in the formal classroom instruction so students can see themselves as part of solutions. So imagine learning mathematics, science, language arts, but through content that is allowing you as a young person to learn about what's being done in your community and how you could be part of those actions. That's amazing, that's relevant, that's inspiring. I want to go to that math class if I was like a fourth grader, right? Rather than just, a random lesson plan, a distilled lesson plan. So we are pushing those of us that are working in climate education, and I would say the larger umbrella called transformative education, we're pushing for that. We need to change what's in the textbooks. We need to change how we certify our teachers, but in order to do that, we also need policies. We can ask so much of school districts, so policies are fundamental, and places around the world where this is happening, where curricular content is enriched with this solutionary content, that's happening because policies are there. So for me as an educator, that's an exciting movement, but I would say that the more that we as individuals push for that type of change, the more support transformative education and climate education would receive overall.
I love it. Often we hear that policy follows innovation. We have the opportunity in this space where policy can go in line with innovation as well, of what Estefanía just talked about. I want to switch it here from the investment piece of it, from the education piece of it, and let's talk about the workers. So Eugene, a real twofold questions for you, and I ask one at each time. First is, what are some current hiring and human capital trends taking place across climate-related industries?
Yeah, great question. So I think one really important thing to understand for somebody who is looking for a green job or a sustainability job is that when it comes to decarbonizing existing industries, which is separate from working at a climate tech startup or something like that, but when it comes to decarbonizing existing industries, almost all of the work, 99%, if not 99.99%, is done by people whose job title does not include the word sustainability. So there are companies that have 500,000 of employees and maybe 15 people on the sustainability team. That doesn't mean they're not doing anything. It just means that everything they're doing is embedded into existing functional roles, into their supply chain roles, into their accounting roles, into their product design roles, logistic roles, and so on. So that's one of the trends, is that if you're looking for a sustainability job, do not limit yourself to things that have sustainability in the title. Most of the work is done in other roles, and most of the movement is in increasingly integrating it into those roles. When it comes to roles at companies that develop new business models for climate solutions, so essentially climate tech, I can tell you that some of the most in-demand roles are hard tech engineering roles, like chemical, mechanical, other types of engineers, and people who can build factories and operate factories. So these are very, very hard to come by, and companies are really struggling to find these people, and they're paying a lot when they can find them. as well as various high-level executive roles with domain expertise there. Though then again, if you have that expertise, then you probably don't need my help to find a climate job.
So Eugene, I want to add on that because you mentioned some of these things, but I want to really dig into that as well. You mentioned some of these trends. Now here's a question. How can job seekers and those currently employed navigate these trends, especially in this constrained job market?
Yeah. So one piece of advice I just gave, which is look not just for jobs that are at climate companies or jobs with sustainability in the title, but look for jobs where you think that considering how the company is making progress on sustainability, ask yourselves, can I, with my skills, be part of how the company does that? So that should be another job search strategy that you employ. When it comes to searching for other types of jobs, keep in mind that employers will not hire you for your climate passion. That does not really correlate with how well you'll do the job at all. What they will look for is your track record. So look for any and all ways to establish a track record in the type of role that you want to be hired for. I don't know, do pro bono projects, go to scholarships and fellowships that allow you to build a track record to create some kind of projects that you can show that you've actually done this, even if you weren't getting paid for it. I think that's my main piece of advice.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Eugene. And Ben, here's a question, especially with you being at TPG Rise, the private equity space. What is the state of the green economy today? And where do you hope it would be in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, look, I think it's an incredibly exciting time in the green economy right now. I would characterize it as a lot of development and innovation and capital formation around growth companies, new technologies, new approaches, everything from growth equity through to infrastructure to support the climate transition has got a lot of attention and a lot of entrepreneurial energy right now. To me, when I step back and I think about it, there are parallels to going back a few decades to other big technology trends and industry shifts we've seen. If you go back all the way back to the computing era or, telecom and mobility or internet or cloud computing, now AI, you see this trend where the first wave is around a lot of innovation, development, growth companies, and you sort of see, which ones emerge and then scale into really big companies. What's incredible, if you think about each of those tech trends going back some time, there were companies that didn't exist at the beginning that are, Fortune 100 companies we take for granted today. I think we're living through that same moment now, and if you fast forward 5 or 10 years, you're going to see leaders in climate tech and renewables in ways that we approach the green economy that are massive scaled enterprises that don't necessarily exist today. So I think a lot about what it's going to take at a human capital level to deliver that. And that's where I'd reinforce some of what Eugene was saying, which is these companies, as they grow, the winners that do emerge and that have to scale rapidly are going to need more professionals at all levels, from the frontline workforce to the C-suite and everything in between, that come from different industries. And not everybody is going to come straight up a green track. And if you think about, what underpins a lot of the companies being developed today, it's everything from semiconductors to material science to industrial services to biochemistry and so on and so forth. So all of us getting our arms around, the people it's going to take to scale these businesses and the different talent pools is key. That's where I think we'll have to think about it a little bit differently than some industry evolutions in the past. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all the functional talent that exists to build these businesses too. And that's where if your passion is marketing or HR or IT or engineering, all of these I think can have a path into the great green companies of the future that are being, developed today.
Absolutely. And here's a question, Ben, for you and Bill. Considering the vast amount of leaders here joining us today, these leaders, I think, want to ensure their teams have the necessary skills to succeed in this green economy. What is your best advice for the leaders here today to ensure that their teams have the best skills needed to succeed in this green economy?
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about, to me, what motivates people to do a job. And I think people want to be purpose-driven. They want to come home at the end of the day feeling as if they made a difference. This is a crisis that affects all of humanity. And I think what we really need is we need, as leaders, to make sure that people understand how their job is making a difference. You know, Eugene just talked about all these jobs. It's not a sustainability job, but it's having a huge impact based on what the company's doing. We need to make sure that our people understand that they are making a difference in a very real way, because people who feel that come to work every day and do their best work.
I would first agree with that as perhaps the most important point. You know, we get the HR leaders in our companies across our broad portfolio, including the climate portfolio, together from time to time, and we were together this spring and talked a lot about what does it take to attract and retain the very best talent in your companies at all levels. And among the top 2 or 3 items always is a sense of mission and purpose in my work. And a lot of people that I think are attracted to green jobs today already have that and bring that and sort of self-select into that. But I think the most successful companies are going to be the ones that really build on that and bring that value forward. And then the second thing I would add is in investing in people's professional development. This is going to take a huge amount of training, learning and development, because there are so many new skills that have to be developed, because people are going to have to migrate over from different industries and sectors into these businesses as they grow. I would say any leader in this space would tell you thinking about how they develop and invest in their people is going to be critical to success. And by the way, it's also, in today's environment and workforce, one of the best ways you retain and attract the best people too.
Absolutely. We have to harness that passion that employees have for organizations to ensure that passion meets the company, which can meet profit. Because it's not just about the human capital, but it's about the return on equity, but the return on impact. As we go into this last question, I want to ask each of you this question, because we all talked about the areas that we're in, from human capital with the private equity industry to the investment industry, to the education, and to the nonprofit sector with training. So here's my last question for each of you. If you can answer for me under 2 minutes. How does your organization fit into the green jobs ecosystem? And so Estefanía, we'll start with you.
Okay. I'm going to speak about 2 organizations. First, Climate Action Pathways for Schools. I'm part of their advisory council, and when the docuseries, the trailer that you just watched, was filmed, I was their program director. So they have a very unique model. They are basically selecting junior and senior students to work with school districts at creating climate action plans. 5 areas, they can look at 5 areas: waste, food, transportation, energy, and water consumption. So while they're developing these climate action plans, they're meeting, they're engaging, they're learning from different professionals, the technical professionals, but also people like, for example, that are writing grants, activists, and other types of professionals that are part of this green economy. So it's an exciting model because you are providing the students with platforms to take action, and their voices are very much woven into the process. At the California Academy of Sciences, where I'm Chief of Education and Learning, we have internship and mentorship models. We mainly focus on connecting young people, mainly from historically marginalized communities from the Bay Area, with scientists that work in our science institution. Scientists that are working in 2 areas, climate change and biodiversity loss. So both are working at inspiring and connecting youth with professionals that are in the field. And I think the most important from both of these organizations is that they provide opportunities for students to meet people that look like them, that talk like them, and that maybe come from a background like them. And that's very important, particularly in diverse communities or regions like San Francisco, where I'm based.
Absolutely. Thank you, Estefanía. So Ben, same question for you in less than a minute. How does TPG fit into the green jobs ecosystem?
The panel is...
Less than a minute. Let me see what I can do. So obviously we come at this from an investment lens.
Oh, Ben, I don't think your mic is working.
Mic is off? Is it working now? Oh, yep. There we go. I came down to 40 seconds now, right?
Well, let's add a minute for us to hear this.
Anyhow, we come at this from the investment lens, and obviously I think there's 3 key ingredients to success in what we do. One is you got to have the right technology, founding team, business model and idea that's going to move the needle in one of the areas we invest, and we sort of broadly focus under clean electrons, clean molecules, and negative emissions, and another half dozen or so kind of subsectors underneath that. But right technology and business, you need the capital to succeed. That's what we provide through our LPs and our investors and our partners. And then you need the talent. You need the team to deliver it, and we back great teams and help them then think about how they're going to build their teams to scale their businesses, how they're going to develop their workforces, and the positive impact they're going to have not only on the climate solutions they're targeting, but on the communities they operate in. And we've already seen that with the factories being developed and opened in a variety of markets in West Virginia and Arkansas and other places around the country to create new green jobs for the economy.
Absolutely. And Bill, how about you?
Yeah, so 3M at its heart is a material science company. And one of your founders actually said the last 30 years were about software, the next 30 are going to be about chemistry and material science, and we really believe that. And I mentioned our work in carbon capture, I mentioned our work in hydrogen. We're also making light management films that increase the production of crops inside greenhouses, among other things. Bringing these products to life requires a very, very broad team. Everything from the people who run our manufacturing facilities all over the world, who run the lines themselves that make these materials, to the research scientists who bring it to life, to the people who are going out and finding the customers who can make use of these materials to make a difference in the world. So I feel like we're at the heart of it, but 3M also can't do it by ourselves. And so a lot of what we're doing is reaching out to startups, searching the world for the best technologies that we can help scale. Because scaling hard tech is hard. It requires a lot of money, and it requires a lot of experience driving costs out of the system. Because these solutions, they're going to start out expensive, but they need to get cheap as fast as we can make them cheap. And this is one of our specialties. So we are helping startups all over the world figure out how they can bring their inventions to life at industrial scale worldwide, because that's one of the very serious challenges. So I think we're at the heart of it, and it's very exciting.
Thank you. Eugene, bring us home.
Awesome. Yeah, I run a nonprofit called Work on Climate. And what we do is we do systems change to solve workforce and innovation bottlenecks to climate progress. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of such bottlenecks, and each one of them is far too complex for any organization to solve alone. So each one of those bottlenecks needs an ecosystem of individuals and organizations working in it. And what we do is we assemble those ecosystems around specific challenges. And what we're most known for is one ecosystem that we started with, which is our community. We started our work by building the world's largest community for professionals that are looking to make a career switch into climate or start climate companies. And then we realized that, hey, mobilizing these people that are actively looking is just one of hundreds of different problems that need to be solved and that need a systems change approach to them. And so now we're on to solving more of such problems by getting together all the organizations that shape what the workforce works on and what skills people have in the first place.
So I want to thank Eugene, Bill, Ben, and Estefanía for this great conversation, and thank you for listening. So let's give a big round of applause for our panelists as we get ready to the next. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.